case you have not yet set up FreeCAD or you don't understand anything about what FreeCAD is, feel free to watch our previous videos on how to use FreeCAD so that you can get up to speed and then join us on this video as well. So our bias is specifically for engineers and engineering students, but of course hobbyists and people that are just getting into FreeCAD for the fun of it can also follow along in these videos. You're going to learn a lot of beautiful things. So in this video, we want to form the basis, the foundation of literally everything that you'll be using FreeCAD for. Before we can create complex 3D models, we need to first master sketching. So let me open up parametric path. Like I said in the previous video, once you open up parametric path, it takes you to the path design workbench. In the path design workbench, you can see, in case you are here, so there's task and there's model. Task is for whatever you are doing at that point in time, or suggestions on what you can do. So for instance, it's already telling me create sketch or do a Boolean operation. And then if I go to model, model shows me the tree view. What I want to focus on in this video is creating sketches. In this video, we'll cover the essential of sketching in FreeCAD so that you can create your 2D shapes, which you will now extrude. Extrusion is the process of forming the shape, basically. So we are going to master sketching, and then that is going to help you to extrude the object. So follow me along. Sketching is the basis, and this is where it starts from. You come to this tool here and you click on create sketch. Once you click on create sketch, it shows you the 3 planes that you can create a sketch on, your base sketch on. So you can either select it here on the viewport. You can see that as I try to select it, it lights them up. Be careful not to try to select like in the middle of the plane. You have to select either on the edges or where the name of the plane is written, here or here or here. If you just try to select like in the middle here, it's not going to work. You can also select from the side here, from the side panel here, but I'm just going to select this XY plane from here. And now I want to talk about sketching tools. So I'm going to divide this discussion into 2. I'm going to divide it into these tools over here, which are the tools that help you to sketch actual objects, and then these tools over here, which are the tools that help you to constrain your objects. I would explain what constraining objects mean in a minute. So let me start with a point. The very most basic sketch that you can create is a point, literally. So this is a point. I click on point. I click on the tool here, point, right? Or I believe that it's called points. Yes, points. And then I click anywhere on the viewport to drop my point. So you can see that my point is already there. If I want to create another point, I can click here again. If I want to create another point, I can click here again. I can keep clicking like that. And if I want to, I don't want the tool anymore, I can either press escape on my keyboard or press close here. So every task that you are doing, once you select a tool, it will open up the task for that tool. So I can click close here, and close simply closes up that sketch completely. So don't click close to end the points tool. That's the moral lesson. So how do we end the points tool? So let's go back to clicking the points tool here. The best way is by clicking escape. Just click escape, and that escapes you from the tool that you were using previously. Now look at all these points. I want to show you something about FreeCAD. If I click on this point and I drag it, it's going to be movable. I can move it anywhere I want to move it to. Same with this point, and same with this point. Now, the thing about each of these points is that, you see this point here, I can literally move this point in only 2 directions. I can only move it like in the Y direction. You can see my axis point here. There's an axis icon here. It's not very visible, but it's here. So I can move it in the direction of the green line, that is the Y direction, and also in the X direction. That means that I can move it in 2 degrees or 2 directions. 1, 2. So you would notice that I have something written here under constrained 6 DOFs. What that simply means is that this sketch, like the entire sketch, has 6 degrees of freedom. And what that simply means, let me delete the other 2 points so that you can understand this very well. So I'm going to delete it, I'm going to click on it and hit delete on my keyboard. Click on this and hit delete on my keyboard. So I have a single point here now. Now, when it tells me that it is under constraint, it says 2 degrees of freedom. What that means is that my sketch can move in 2 ways, both in this axis and in this axis. If I create another point, that adds another 2 ways that something on my sketch can move. If I create another point, that adds another 2 ways that something on my sketch can move. So that's for points. And different objects have different degrees of freedom depending on the number of points that they have. So let's see. Let's create a rectangle. So this is the rectangle tool, right? So I click here and I click this and I click that and I press escape. You see that this rectangle has 4 points. It seems that the number of points an object has is the number of degrees of freedom that it actually has. But that is, let us create a circle and let's see how many degrees of freedom it has. So a circle, if I click here like this and I click here like this and I click close. Oh no, not close. Let me open up that sketch again. Okay, so it is telling me that this circle has 3 degrees of freedom. I wonder why it is telling me 3 degrees of freedom. Well, maybe because the circle can move in the x direction, in the y direction, and also the dimension of the circle, like the radius, can change. So that is 3 degrees of freedom. Degrees of freedom simply means how many ways can it move or can it be adjusted. And we'll get to that when we get to constraints. So you can see I've already created 3 different types of objects. I've created the point, the circle, and the rectangle. One thing I want you to note about all of these sketching tools is that the symbols here indicate like what you have to click, basically. So for instance, this point tells me that if I click anywhere, it will give me that point. So if I click anywhere, it will give me that point. Escape to escape that too. This is a polyline. So if I click this polyline and I click here, 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 like the line keeps going, the line keeps going, the line keeps going, the line keeps going. So I can create a polyline like that. And I want you to note something. When I hover on the polyline option, it says something to me. It says M key cycles behavior. I wonder what that means. So let me click on to create a polyline. Click on another point, then let me press M and let's see what happens. Okay, so M actually brings in an arc. Well, I don't know what is going on over there, but apparently M brings in an arc. Okay, so I just need to click on M and then bring the arc like that. So you can see that you can learn FreeCAD as like just by reading the prompts basically. And you can see we now have 27 degrees of freedom. I wonder if we count the number of points, the number of directions that it can change, you would see that it is 27. Now, if I want to create a line, I click on the line, and then this is showing me the red icons are showing me that I can click on 2 points, and then that will form the line. So I click here, and that gives me the line. Simple. If I click on this arc, it's showing me that I need 3 points, one in the center, one at the edge of the arc, and then the other one at the edge of the other arc. So if I click here, I can click on this point, for instance, to be the center, click on one here, and then it is showing me that, okay, that arc is being drawn, and click. So you can see the 3-point arc. Now, there are other kinds of arc that I can create. I can click this drop down here, and then you see that I can create an arc by 3 points, by ellipse, by hyperbola, and all of that. You may need it as you go on to create different things. Okay, so let me delete all the things that I have here and show you a use case for that creating arc thing. So let me create a rectangle. Now, if I want to dimension this rectangle, like I want it to be this length or this height and all of that, I will click on this tool. This is the dimension tool. It is under the constraint section, but let's quickly go to it. So this is dimension tool. I click on dimension and then I click on this line and it gives me the dimension. Once I click, then I can change the dimension 120 by maybe, let's say 60. So it's very intuitive and very easy to use. So now, okay, don't let me create an arc of 120 by 60. Let me create an arc of 120 by 120. Now I have a problem. The square is out of my frame. There's a easy shortcut to use for that. Although if you don't want to use a shortcut, you can come to view and then standard views or something like that. Or where is it? Okay, I don't think it's here. But what I'm talking about is if you press V on your keyboard and you press 1, it will take you to another view like that. But that's not what I intended. Oh, what I meant was VF. So let me come back to the view that we're working with. Top view, yes. So VF will bring your object into the viewport like this. VF. So if I like have my object something like that and I press VF on my keyboard, it will bring your object into something like this. Very easy. So now I want to create an arc that will use let's see, a 3-point arc. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to click on my first side of this, click on this other side, and then maybe click on this line. So you see that is a 3-point arc. It can be used in different ways. Now a circle too can be drawn. You see it's telling me that I have to select the center of my circle, then the side. So center and then an edge. Another thing I can do is before I select the edge, you can see that dimension is following my circle around. So I can just type in the dimension I want. So 120, and then that gives me the exact dimension. Or I can just dimension it later on. Either way, it works the same. Now, I can also create other kinds of circles. So there is circle by center. That's what I just created. Circle by 3 points. Let's see what that works for. So circle by 3 points, I can click this line, for instance, click this line, and that puts a circle that will be at those 3 points. So it will intersect at this point, and then the point down there too. So that is how you can create a circle. And then a rectangle, we already talked about that. There are different rounded rectangles, centered rectangle. You can also create a polygon here, different kinds of polygons. So a triangle, a square, a pentagon, a heptagon. Then if you don't know the Ghana whatever, the number of sides, so you can just click on regular polygon here and you can click on 4 sides or something. Then once you click on anywhere and take your point outside, so that gives you a polygon that is inscribed in a circle. And that is very simple. So another thing I want to show you is that a slot, you can create a slot. A slot is a simple shape that looks something like this. So you can see that it is guiding me. Select a point here, select a point here. So I select a point here, select a point here. Okay, now I have to select another point to indicate the radius of that slot. So very simple. And then you can also create a B-spline, although I'm not going to go into what a B-spline is right now. In the next video, we are going to talk about constraints. Because without constraints, your sketch is not going to work. Your sketch will be under constraint, and that is very dangerous for your work eventually, because it may begin to bring out funny behaviors. So join me in the next video as we talk about constraints and using constraints effectively. Thank you for watching the video. Please like and comment, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much. Bye.